I love those moments when I'm in conversation with somebody and you feel led to say something, and it's almost like you had this out of body experience because you know it wasn't you. You know you're not
That's
capable
right.
of that. That's the moment that even the speaker now is caught in the presence because you see the response in that person's spirit. You see the connection that's made, and you're like, that wasn't me. That was straight from heaven to you. So now you are in that place of presence. You've been like a carrier. Like there's no doubt about that moment. It's so tangible.
And you
And
didn't even know you said it sometimes
100%.
until you said it.
Somebody will say to me, like, remember what you said? And I was like, actually, I don't I have
I
any
don't.
idea
Yeah.
what I said. No, but I truly believe that. I think we miss that when we read scripture, that people understood who Jesus was. He carried
Oh,
heaven with him. Like when he walked into a room, something shifted.
yeah.
And that's the call for the church is when we walk into a room, we don't have to say anything. It's what we don't say sometimes. It's how we respond to somebody. It's just changing the way we do things. We get so focused on trying to validate ourselves by what we have to say, what we have to do. And sometimes it's just like, I just want to change the way you do it. Because the moment you walk in the room and you shift and act differently, somebody takes notice because you stand out against the crowd. Chris, come with it, bro.
uh, I wasn't going to share anything. And I was like, okay, Lord, if you want me to share this, I'm going to share it. And then every
You
time,
say that every week, so stop saying it.
it happens every week because I'm like, Lord, I don't want to speak unless you want me to open my mouth. I don't want to just share to share. I don't want to hear myself. And so you guys are saying this, talking about the presence. And so 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we found out there was black mold in our apartment, so we had to move out. So our landlord put us in an Airbnb down in Venice Beach, um, and we were living up like closer to Hollywood. And when I first moved here, I lived in Venice Beach, and one of my roommates was still living down there. And I was down there, and I was like, hey, let's meet up for lunch. And so we ended up going to actually dinner instead. And he's Muslim, and so I was like, I'm not going to talk about God at all. Like, and it was my day off. It was like my rest day. Like I didn't do my morning, Bible study. It was just like I need a day to just rest. And so it was like this is just going to be a hangout. And we're sitting there, we're having a conversation. He's talking about how his dream. He's a rock musician. His dreams to be the most successful musician in the world, and he wants the cars and the houses and the girls and all these things. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to him. I'm joking around with him. I love him. He has such a good heart. Um, and he's just pursuing the things of the world. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, God, why am I here? Like, why am I even having this conversation? It's so empty. Like, it's entertaining, but it's so empty. And I'm like, Lord, what is this? Like, because I've changed so much. The last time I met with him, I mean, he saw me when I wasn't a believer. And so we're having this conversation, and he's like, he keeps chasing girls, and I'm like, well, what's inside that makes you chase these girls so much? And he's like, I just feel empty. I feel empty inside. And I was like, oh yeah, I get that. That's how I was. I was empty. I had success. I had a company. I gave it all away, moved to a third world country, tried to find that fulfillment. And he said, did you find it? And I was like, yeah. And he said, what is it? And I said, it's Jesus. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. And we start talking. And I'm like, I tried everything. And I was like, you don't know this, but since I was 19, I've been in back to back to back relationships for 15 years because I was terrified to be alone because women were my source of fulfillment. I've been single for 2 years and I have no desire to date anyone because I'm finally fulfilled because I have Jesus. And he looked at me and he said, dude, this is true. Jesus is real. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I can feel it. And he said, I know this is true because I can see God on you. And he said, I know God's on you. And when you texted me the other day, I could feel God in your message. You're so different. I just see God on you. And he's like opening up, and he's like, he felt this overwhelming truth and happiness. And he said, I don't need the music and the money and the girls. What I've been looking for my whole life is God. That emptiness in my heart is because I haven't had God. And we have this conversation. I'm in tears. He's in tears. He's like, I feel like I just got released from prison. that I was chasing the wrong thing. He said, I know that God put me here to do something big, and I know I don't have a relationship with him. And we're having this conversation. I'm blown away. And I'm like, I had this revelation. The number one reason why God allowed mold in our apartment to get us to move is so that I could have this one conversation with you. All of this happened for you because Jesus will leave the 99 to find the one that's lost. You were the one that's lost. And this whole thing, this whole massive inconvenience is happening so we can have this conversation right here, right now. And he said, I know that's true because I've been feeling like God has wanted to say something to me. For the last week, he's just been showing me things and showing me things. And I'm like, yeah, it's Jesus.